Hello, Crime Squad. Welcome back to my channel. I am so happy to have you here with me today. Today, we are talking about, I guess you know them as the Menendez Brothers. Yes, that is actually Lyle and Erik Menendez. Now, this story is really interesting to me. It's a story of two young men. Imagine living actually in Beverly Hills, only to end up at the center of one of the most infamous criminal trials in American history. That's exactly what happened to Erik and Lyle Menendez, two brothers who shocked the world when they were convicted of a tragic incident involving their parents. But here's a twist: it wasn't about inheritance or greed, even, at least not according to them. So, what really happened? Well, the Netflix recent documentary on their case has actually led to a new trial, or even it may even set them free. And that's actually the question. We're going to dive into all of that today, so stick around. Now, in this video, we'll break down the Menendez brothers' infamous case. We'll kind of talk about what resentencing means and even touch on why this case has suddenly gained so much public interest. And oh, yeah, stay tuned until the very end because we'll discuss the three possible outcomes of resentencing. And trust me, you don't want to miss that part. Now, let's take it back to the 90s. Actually, let's take it back to 1989. That was a time when the Menendez family seemed to have it all. I mean, they had wealth, status, and a beautiful home in Beverly Hills. Imagine that. Jose Menendez was the father, and he was a very successful entertainment executive, and his wife, Kitty, was a former beauty queen. But behind those perfectly manicured lawns and lavish parties was really a much darker reality. On August the 20th, 1989, the Menendez brothers called 911 to report a horrifying event. Oh, their parents had been found inside of their homes. Um, Jose had been harmed multiple times, and we'll just say harmed, but unalived. And then Kitty had suffered injuries as well. At first, Erik and Lyle, they weren't suspects. The police even thought it might have been orchestrated by one of Jose's business rivals. But then, I guess about a year later, Erik confessed to his therapist. Now, you may have seen that on the Netflix documentary, but here's where the things take a dramatic turn. The therapist recorded the sessions. Yes, you heard that right. The therapist recorded the sessions. Erik's confession actually led to both brothers being arrested and charged with the incident. I'm sure Lyle was very upset. The trial that followed actually became one of the most talked about in American history. Why? Well, because the Menendez brothers didn't claim innocence. Instead, their defense was that they acted out of fear after suffering years of emotional, physical, and abuse at the hands of their father. They argued actually that their mother, Kitty, was complicit by allowing the abuse to continue, just kind of turning the other cheek as though she saw nothing, nothing was happening, close my eyes. The claim actually shocked the public, and the trial quickly became a media sensation, a media frenzy, I would even say. So, why were people glued to their TVs during this trial? Part of it was just the sheer drama of the case, and there was lots of it. The defense painted a picture of a family torn apart by abuse, while the prosecution argued that the brothers had actually caused the tragic event for the purpose of getting an inheritance of their father and mother's fortune. Public opinion was sharply divided. Were these two brothers victims of years of unimaginable pain, or were they just greedy kids looking to cash in? The trial lasted for months. I mean, months upon end. And the courtroom was actually packed with lots of spectators and media in every single second of the day. They were covering this on broadcast TV at the time, and it made the Menendez brothers a household name. Some people actually felt sympathy for the brothers, kind of like what we see in the Wacko Wade Wilson case. They believed their stories of abuse, but then others were actually appalled by what seemed like a clear motive for financial gain, especially when the details about their lavish spending after this unaliving took place. I mean, they had new cars, new watches, vacation. It all seemed to point to a motive that was driven by greed. And yet, after all of that, the first trial ended in a mistrial because the jury just couldn't come to a unanimous decision. But the brothers were retried in 1995, and by this time, there was a big difference. The judge, he didn't allow the defense to introduce much of any of the abuse allegations. Without that critical part of their defense, the brothers were found guilty of first degree charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 1996, 1 year later. Hey, but the story didn't end there. Let me tell you. Fast forward till today. Netflix recently released a documentary as part of Ryan Murphy's Monsters series. And just like that, the case is back in the public eye. The documentary revisits the case. It's digging deeper, actually, into the allegations of abuse, and it's bringing forward new evidence that wasn't fully examined during the initial trial. So, why is this documentary causing such a stir, you might ask? Well, for starters, it sheds light on parts of the brothers' defense that were never fully explored in court, especially during that second trial. And with public perception shifting over time, particularly around the topic of abuse, more and more people are questioning whether the Menendez actually got a fair trial. One of the most shocking elements the documentary highlights is that Erik Menendez wrote to his cousin months before the incident, describing the alleged abuse by their father. Now, the letter, along with other pieces of evidence, is now part of the growing movement to have the brothers re-sentenced or retried. And let's not forget, the documentary has sparked a social media movement with TikTok groups like the Menendez Defenders. Have you heard of that? They're pushing for the brothers to be freed. But keep watching, keep listening, because we're about to dive into what resentencing could mean for Erik and Lyle. And believe me, the possibilities are wild. All right. Let's break down resentencing. Simply put, it's when a court reevaluates someone's sentence based on new evidence or changes in the law. And no, this doesn't mean they're automatically going to walk free. There are three possible outcomes, and I'm going to walk you through it right now. First, the court could grant them a new trial. Now, this is the most dramatic option because it would give the Menendez brothers the chance to present their full defense, including the abuse claims that were never actually presented fully during the second trial. If that happens, you know, the outcome could be interesting. There's a chance that they could be found guilty again, or they could receive a different verdict altogether. Now, second, their sentences could be reduced. Now, this doesn't mean they're walking free tomorrow, but it could mean a shift from life without parole to maybe something less severe, like life with parole, which could give them a shot at being released down the road. And then, third and final, though this honestly is less likely, they could actually be set free. Yes, I know it's a long shot, but with the right combination of new evidence and shifting public sentiment, anything's possible. Now, keep in mind, this is just speculation, and I'm definitely not a lawyer. So don't take this as legal advice. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, TikTok. I love saying TikTok like that, but TikTok. I know you're thinking, what does TikTok have to do with a decades old criminal case? Well, in 2024, social media plays a huge role in shaping public opinion. There's an entire community of TikTok creators and activists who are calling for the Menendez brothers to be freed. They're arguing that they were victims of systematic failures in the legal sense. They even called themselves the Menendez defenders. Yep, social media has officially entered the courtroom, folks. This push from TikTok combined with the Netflix documentary is actually forcing people to re examine the case and ask whether the brothers' allegations of abuse should be given much weight. Now, the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office has even agreed to review the case in light of the new evidence, with the hearing that's scheduled for November 29th, 2024. It's going to be a nail biter, so stay tuned because this story, it's far from over. So, what do you think? Were the Menendez brothers victims of a horrific abuse or did they act out of greed? I mean, it's a question that's been debated for decades, and it seems we're no closer to a definitive answer. But with a potential resentencing hearing coming up, oh, things could change in ways we never expected. I want to hear from you. Do you think they deserve a new trial or should they remain behind bars? Drop your comments drop your thoughts in the comments below because this conversation is just getting started. And that's a wrap on today's deep dive into the Menendez brothers case. But wait, before you go, YouTube has handpicked another video, and I'd like for you to take a look at it. So if you don't mind, please take a look at our other videos. Please like them, comment, subscribe below, click the video, hit the like, please. Subscribe to the channel so that you never miss a deep dive into the world of true crime. I'd like for you to stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. As always, Crime Squad, it is a joy and a privilege to bring you this Crime Squad coffee. That's it for today. But please drop down in the comments to connect with our Crime Squad community. And for anyone new here, please subscribe to the channel, give us a happy thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next video.